Have you ever quietly looked down at your feet and wondered, why do I feel so weak lately, even though I'm eating regularly every day? No falls, no bumps. Yet bone density gradually decreases with age. Some people in their early 60s hear their doctors mention pre-osteoporosis. And for those over 70, the risk of a hip fracture after a slight slip becomes a lingering, silent worry. Many blame age, others try drinking more milk, 1 glass a day, sometimes two. But the harsh reality is, in many cases, bones still weaken, even with regular milk consumption. So, where exactly is the problem? Perhaps what you need isn't more milk, but the right kind of food. They might already be in your kitchen pantry. And if utilized correctly, they will be your secret weapon to strengthen your skeleton, reduce the risk of vertebral fractures, prevent falls, and walk confidently throughout your senior years. For decades, cow's milk has been almost the first thing people think of when it comes to calcium supplementation. From clinic brochures to TV commercials to advice from friends, everything points older adults towards a seemingly simple formula: drink milk for strong bones. However, very few people know that more than half of the calcium in cow's milk may not be fully absorbed, especially when not accompanied by adequate vitamin D or when consumed with absorption-blocking foods like strong tea, carbonated soft drinks, or even a meal too rich in animal protein. Not to mention, some older adults experience digestive issues with lactose, making milk consumption not only uncomfortable but also inadvertently causing bloating and diarrhea, leading to missed meals and nutrient deficiencies. And here's the more important point: there are many foods with higher calcium content than milk, based on common serving sizes, and they are also easier to absorb, supporting better bone formation due to accompanying nutrients. From tiny beans, common vegetables, to familiar fish in the supermarket. If you know how to combine them smartly, you can absolutely supplement enough natural calcium without relying entirely on milk or pills. In today's video, we'll explore 10 such foods, arranged in increasing order of their bone-supporting effectiveness, from the simplest to start with every day, to the mightiest, most powerful, for rapid and sustainable bone formation. Starting this journey is a tiny, crunchy nut, quietly building every bone cell. Food number 1, almonds. They're a snack that many older adults keep by the sofa, in kitchen drawers, or in their coat pockets when going for a walk. Convenient and healthy. But few realize that each small handful of almonds carries nearly 100 milligrams of natural calcium, almost 1/3 of a glass of cow's milk. And if chewed properly, that amount of calcium can be effectively absorbed instead of being excreted. Almonds are a nutrient-rich nut, but what makes them special for bone health is how the calcium in the nut is bound to phytic acid, a natural lock. This might seem like a disadvantage, but if chewed slowly or soaked or lightly roasted, the body can release most of that calcium, even absorbing up to 30% of the available calcium. Quite an impressive ratio for a snack. Not only that, almonds also contain magnesium, a substance that helps activate a protein called osteocalcin, whose job is to guide calcium into the correct position within the bone structure. You can imagine magnesium as the master craftsman and calcium as just the material. Without the master craftsman, the material cannot go to the right place. But this isn't just theory. A clinical trial in postmenopausal women, a group at high risk of osteoporosis, showed that by simply eating 40 grams of almonds every day for 8 consecutive weeks, the body recorded a 9% increase in bone formation markers, CTXY, a significant number compared to a control group that ate nuts with less calcium. With such evidence, almonds are not only a snack rich in healthy fats, but also one of the strongest bone-supporting nuts, especially for people over 60. How to use them for best effect. Aim for about 30-35 Gs of almonds each day, equivalent to a full handful. The ideal time is in the late afternoon, when you're slightly hungry. Instead of reaching for sweets or salty snacks, almonds will help you feel full longer and naturally supplement calcium. A small note: almonds should be chewed slowly, or even soaked in water for a few hours, then drained, or lightly roasted to help break down the phytate layer, increasing calcium absorption. No need to add salt or seasonings. However, not everyone can consume them freely. Because almonds are high in potassium and calories, people with kidney disease should consult their doctor, especially if they are advised to restrict potassium. And even though it's a healthy food, almonds should not be eaten in excess of 50 grams a day to avoid excess calories leading to unwanted weight gain. So a food that seems like it's just for curbing hunger in the afternoon quietly contributes to strengthening your bones every day. Do you keep some almonds at home? If so, today is a good time to make them a part of your long-term bone building plan. And that's just the beginning. In the next part, we'll move on to a food that even surpasses milk in calcium content, is rich in natural vitamin D, and is easy to incorporate into meals. Food number 2, canned pink salmon with bones. Though it looks like a simple supermarket item, few realize that canned pink salmon with bones is among the foods richer in calcium than even a glass of cow's milk. And more importantly, its absorption efficiency and bone supportability in older adults are very significant. So what makes this seemingly ordinary food so special? Imagine opening a can of pink salmon, the soft, fatty flesh, interspersed with tiny bone fragments that almost melt in your mouth. This isn't just a source of protein and omega-3s. The fish bones are a storehouse of easily absorbable calcium that doesn't require pills. Unlike large animal bones that are hard and indigestible, the bones of canned salmon have been naturally softened during the high-temperature canning process. And when you eat these bones, you're getting over 300 milligrams of calcium in one very convenient serving. Not only that, this type of calcium comes with natural vitamin D found in the salmon meat itself, which increases its absorption in the small intestine, something very few other natural foods can do. You could say it's a perfect biological combo: calcium from bones, plus natural vitamin D, plus anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids. A study tracking changes in serum calcium levels after a meal of 90 grams of canned pink salmon with bones showed clear results. Blood calcium levels increased by 8% after 3 hours, a number equivalent to drinking 1 glass of milk. This shows that calcium from this food is truly digested and absorbed, not passed through like many other oxalate-rich foods. But how do you use it effectively? To get the most out of canned pink salmon, the most effective way to use it is to keep things simple and convenient. Just half a can, about 85 grams, 3 ounces, provides your body with the same amount of calcium as a glass of milk. But this food doesn't stop there. It also brings natural vitamin D and healthy fats, a complete bone support package in one light meal. If you like fresh salad, you can mix this salmon with a little low-fat yogurt and add chopped parsley for a light yet nutrient-rich salad. For those who need a simple snack, just mash the fish with grated cucumber and a little mayonnaise, and you have a soft, rich, easy-to-eat sandwich filling, especially suitable for older adults or those with chewing difficulties. And if you're looking for a quick but filling dinner, salmon mixed with brown rice, sprinkled with toasted sesame seeds, would be a great choice. Delicious and helps nourish your bones daily. No matter how you eat it, there's one thing you shouldn't overlook. Always eat the soft bones in the can. That's where almost all the calcium is. If you discard them, you've essentially lost the most valuable part of this food. However, there are a few small things to remember. Canned salmon, especially regular varieties, often contains quite a bit of sodium. For those managing blood pressure, prioritize types labeled "no salt added," or simply rinse it lightly with clean water before preparing to reduce unnecessary salt. Additionally, although it's a fish with lower mercury content than tuna or swordfish, for people with kidney problems or those taking diuretics, it's advisable to limit canned salmon consumption to 2 to 3 times per week and consult a doctor if needed. And if you're ready, let's continue exploring the next food, a seemingly simple dish that is incredibly effective in supporting bone density and nourishing the gut microbiome. Food number 3 on today's list is cooked white beans, an option that not only replaces milk but also supports bones in a sustainable, daily way. Let's learn more. Though simple in appearance, behind a bowl of white beans lies an amazing story about bone strength. No complicated recipes or expensive ingredients needed. Just a serving of cooked white beans every day can contribute significantly to keeping your skeleton strong over the years. With about 320 milligrams of calcium per cooked cup of beans, this food not only surpasses cow's milk in quantity, but also contains a special advantage: resistant starch. This is a type of fiber that isn't digested in the small intestine, but instead becomes food for beneficial gut bacteria. And why is this important for bones? Because these bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids, SCFAs, one of the factors that help reduce bone loss due to chronic inflammation and improve mineral absorption. But there's more. Calcium in beans often binds to phytate, a natural compound that can hinder absorption if you eat unprocessed dry beans. The good news is that by simply soaking white beans for 8 hours and then cooking them thoroughly, the phytate content can be reduced by up to 50%. This means that the calcium in the beans will be more readily available for your body to absorb, especially in older adults whose digestive systems and mineral absorption capabilities tend to decline over time. A small 12-week pilot study showed that when people aged 65 and older replaced white rice with 1 cup of white beans daily, bone density in the femoral neck region, the most common site for fractures in falls, increased slightly by 1.4%. While that number might not seem highly impressive, for a body part that easily loses 1–2% of bone density each year, maintaining or even slightly improving it provides significant value. So how do you use white beans effectively? The simplest way is to cook them until soft and add them to soups or vegetable stews. If you like a light spread for breakfast or an afternoon snack, you can mash white beans with garlic, olive oil, and a little lemon juice to create a white bean spread. Soft, creamy, easy to eat, and helps you load up on calcium and plant protein in a small spoonful. You can also use them as a base in grain salads. Just a little sea salt and herbs are enough to make the meal interesting while still supporting strong bones. A few things to remember. White beans, like many other types of beans, can cause bloating for people with sensitive digestive systems. If you're new to adding beans to your diet, start with small amounts, gradually increasing over time, and remember to drink plenty of water. Combining beans with digestion-supporting spices like ginger, turmeric, or fennel can help alleviate bloating. Also note, avoid combining white beans with oxalate-rich foods like spinach in the same meal, as they can compete for calcium absorption. It's best to spread them out throughout the day, rather than concentrating them all in one meal. Are you ready for the next food? If white beans help you nourish your bones daily, then the next food number 4, canned sardines with bones, will be a natural medicine that not only increases bone density, but also reduces the risk of fractures. Let's continue exploring. Unassuming and straightforward, the tiny sardine is consistently mentioned by nutrition experts in golden food lists for people over 60. The reason is simple. Sardines are one of the few foods that are rich in calcium, contain anti-inflammatory omega-3 fats, are easy to absorb, and are particularly suitable for older adults. A typical serving, about 3.25 ounces, 92 g, of canned sardines, eaten with the bones, can provide 325 to 350 milligrams of calcium, equivalent to or even more than a glass of cow's milk. But the noteworthy point isn't just the quantity. While calcium from many vegetables or nuts is hindered by absorption inhibitors like oxalates or phytates, the calcium in sardines comes from soft, cooked fish bones. Thanks to the acidic environment in the stomach, these bones are released very quickly, delivering calcium directly into the bloodstream without complex metabolism. Not only that, sardines also contain high amounts of long-chain unsaturated fatty acids like EPA and DHA, compounds proven to reduce mild inflammation around bone tissue, helping bone-forming cells function better. A meta-analysis showed that older women who ate small bony fish at least 3 times a week had a 17% lower risk of hip fractures compared to those who ate less. This isn't just dry statistics, it's an indication that sardines can truly change the fate of your skeleton as you age. So, how can you use sardines to be both delicious and maximize their bone benefits? If you're accustomed to their distinct flavor, you can eat sardines directly with whole grain bread or mix them with lemon juice and a little black pepper to make a light sardine salad. Another popular option is to mash sardines with tomato sauce and a pinch of basil to create a topping for toast. Not only is it tasty, but it's also a meal that helps protect your hip and ankle bones, two positions most vulnerable to injury from falls in older adults. However, there's a small caveat. Since sardines are often canned with salt for preservation, the sodium content can be high, not ideal for those managing blood pressure. The solution? Choose varieties labeled in water or no salt added. If those aren't available, you can gently rinse the fish under cold water for 5 to 10 seconds before preparing to remove excess salt. It's also worth remembering that sardines, like other small ocean fish, can contain purines, a compound linked to gout attacks in people with high uric acid levels. However, this risk is not high if consumed in appropriate amounts, about 2 to 3 times per week, and combined with a diet low in red meat and rich in green vegetables and fresh fruits. One more small tip: eat the bones. That's right. Many people tend to discard the bones because they feel a bit gritty, but in reality, that's the most valuable part of the fish. After cooking and canning, sardine bones are soft and completely safe to chew or mash with your meal. If needed, you can mash them thoroughly with a fork before mixing them into your main dish. We'll continue our journey right now with a special food: cooked dark leafy greens, a vegetable that not only provides plenty of calcium, but also guides calcium to exactly where the body needs it, the bones. And that guide is vitamin K1 in our next food: cooked collard greens, food number 5. If you had to name a green vegetable that is both rich in calcium, easy to absorb, and plays a crucial role in directing calcium to the right place, then collard greens would be an indispensable candidate. This vegetable is popular in the southern US, often braised until tender or lightly sautéed with garlic and olive oil. But few know that each serving of cooked collards, about 6.7 ounces, 190 gisel, can provide up to 330 milligallons of calcium, equivalent to or even more than a glass of milk. However, what truly makes collards stand out isn't just that number. It's their extremely high calcium absorption rate, up to 50% compared to cow's milk at only about 30%. The reason is that collards contain very little oxalate, a substance that typically hinders the body's absorption of calcium from green vegetables like spinach or Swiss chard. The result? Calcium from collards not only enters the body but also goes deep into the bones. But there's more. Collard greens are also one of the richest natural sources of vitamin K1. And this is the key point. Vitamin K1 helps activate a special protein called osteocalcin, which acts like a biological magnet, binding calcium to the correct position within the bone structure. Without K1, calcium can wander in the bloodstream, sometimes causing deposits in soft tissues instead of going to the bones as desired. For this very reason, the USDA, in collaboration with the University of South Florida, conducted a 2023 study that showed the calcium absorption rate from collard greens reached about 26%, higher than even cow's milk, 23%. And at the same time, the level of active osteocalcin in the blood also significantly increased after 4 weeks of regular collard consumption. The research group's conclusion is quite simple. This vegetable not only provides calcium, but also guides calcium to do its job correctly. So, how can you eat collard greens to be both delicious and maintain their bone value? If you're new to them, start simply by sautéing collard greens with a small spoonful of olive oil, minced garlic, and a pinch of sea salt. The trick is to sauté quickly for 3-4 minutes. Don't overcook them because vitamin K1 is easily broken down by prolonged high heat. If you want to enhance absorption, you can squeeze a few drops of apple cider vinegar at the end of the dish. This mild acid helps calcium in the leaves to be released more effectively. Another option is to braise collards until tender with white beans or chicken, creating a nutrient-rich, easy-to-digest soup that is very suitable for older adults, especially those with chewing or swallowing difficulties. However, there are a few small notes. For those using the anticoagulant warfarin, consuming large amounts of vitamin K1-rich vegetables like collards needs to be managed. It's not about complete avoidance, but about maintaining a stable K1 intake each day, avoiding excessive fluctuations, because K1 directly affects the drug's action. If you are on this medication, consult your doctor or a nutritionist for precise guidance. And here's another plus. This vegetable does not increase uric acid, does not affect kidney function, and does not cause bloating if cooked properly. It's a food that is almost absolutely safe for older adults. Our journey continues. Next, you'll encounter a vegetable that is more familiar to many people of Latin or Asian descent, amaranth leaves. But the interesting thing is, amaranth not only cools the body, but also provides a remarkable amount of calcium, along with precious minerals like potassium, magnesium, and natural nitrates, all working together to keep your steps light and stable, even past the age of 60. Let's move on to food number 6. If someone thinks amaranth is just a simple light soup vegetable, only good for digestion or cooling the body, then they might be missing out on a real treasure. Because in the world of bone-supporting plants, amaranth leaves, or specifically their leaves, are no less impressive than any superfood. Just 7 ounces, 200 grains of boiled amaranth leaves provide about 330 milligrams of calcium, a number that surprises many because it's equivalent to the calcium content in a standard glass of cow's milk. But what makes amaranth different isn't just the amount of calcium, it's its ability to help retain calcium in the body. Imagine you absorb calcium, but if your body leaks too much calcium through urine, then all your supplementation efforts vanish. And this is why amaranth is special. It is very rich in potassium and magnesium, 2 minerals that reduce calcium loss through the kidneys by balancing the acid-base environment in the body and reducing the secretion of minerals-depleting hormones like PTH. Not only that, amaranth leaves are one of the few leafy greens that contain calcium in an easily soluble lactinate form, meaning the body doesn't have to struggle with phytates or oxalates for absorption, unlike many other green vegetables. As a result, the calcium absorption rate from amaranth leaves reaches 35 to 40%, much higher than oxalate-rich greens. Interestingly, a 10-week intervention study in India on people aged 60 and older showed that eating 7 ounces, 200 grams of boiled amaranth leaves 3 times a week helped increase heel bone mineral density by an average of 1.6%, a significant indicator considering older adults typically lose 0.5 to 1% of bone density annually without intervention. Not only that, the natural nitrates in amaranth also help dilate peripheral blood vessels, increasing blood flow to the bones and supporting bone-forming metabolic reactions. So how do you use it effectively? The simplest way, of course, is to boil amaranth leaves for 2 to 3 minutes, then squeeze a few drops of lemon juice. Lemon not only enhances the flavor, but the citric acid in it helps release calcium from the vegetable cells. If you like soup, you can cook amaranth with shrimp. Not only delicious and easy to digest, but also increases protein intake, which helps synthesize osteocalcin, the protein that binds calcium to bone tissue. Another tip: avoid reheating amaranth leaves multiple times. This is because amaranth contains natural nitrates, which are good for blood vessels, but if repeatedly heated, nitrates can convert into nitrites, a harmful substance if accumulated excessively in the body. It's best to cook fresh amaranth once and consume it immediately. For those with kidney problems or taking diuretics, it may be necessary to consult a specialist before rapidly increasing potassium intake in their diet. However, for most healthy older adults, amaranth is a safe, mild, and easy to incorporate option in any meal. And next, we'll move on to an interesting power station, a tiny seed rich in nutrients. And when transformed into tahini butter, it even boasts superior bone-strengthening power. Get ready to discover food number 7, sesame seeds and tahini, where a combination of calcium and bioactive compounds helps lock calcium into your skeleton. No fanfare needed, no need for fancy or expensive food. Just 2 small tablespoons, yes, just 2 tablespoons of tahini, finely ground roasted sesame seed paste. Provide up to 350 milligrams of calcium, surpassing even a glass of cow's milk. But more notably, the calcium from sesame isn't alone. It comes with a protective duo: healthy fats and a bioactive compound called sesamin, which scientists liken to a shield that helps prevent calcium loss from bones over time. You may have heard that sesame seeds are rich in calcium, but also been warned that most of the calcium is in the hull, and if eaten whole, the body struggles to absorb it. That's true. However, when sesame seeds are lightly roasted and finely ground into tahini, the hull is broken down, phytate is reduced, and calcium becomes much more readily absorbable. Not only that, the roasting process helps release flavor and increase the bioavailability of micronutrients like magnesium and zinc, two indispensable cofactors in bone mineralization. A special feature of tahini is that in addition to calcium, it also contains sesamin and sesamol, two plant lignans that can inhibit the activity of the Rankle enzyme, a bone destroyer activated during aging or chronic inflammation. By inhibiting Rankle, sesamin reduces bone resorption while increasing the activity of osteoblasts, the cells that build new bone. An intervention study published showed that postmenopausal women consuming 50 grams of tahini a day for 6 weeks had an average 12% increase in serum osteocalcin, a bone formation indicator, compared to the control group. This result is particularly significant because in this age group, the rate of bone loss often exceeds the rate of bone formation, and tahini helped tip the balance in a positive direction. So, how do you use tahini to be easy, delicious, and effective? The simplest way is to spread 1 tablespoon of tahini on whole grain toast in the morning. It provides plant protein, stabilizes blood sugar, and offers bone benefits. If you want to be more creative, you can mix tahini with lemon and garlic to make a Mediterranean salad dressing, or blend it with almond milk and bananas for a smooth smoothie. This is great for a snack or for those who have difficulty chewing. Of course, since tahini is high in calories, control your portion size. 1 to 2 tablespoons a day is ideal. And if you are allergic to sesame, then no matter how good it is, tahini is not the right choice for you. Additionally, it's important to note that because it's rich in fat, tahini can easily oxidize if not stored properly. Choose pure, unsweetened tahini and store it in a cool place or in the refrigerator after opening. Use a clean spoon every time you scoop it out. And if you see a layer of oil floating on top, don't worry, that's normal. Just stir it well, and the tahini will be smooth as new. And after partnering with sesame seeds, a small but mighty plant, we'll move on to an even smaller seed, yet packed with bone-strengthening power: chia seeds. With just 2 small spoonfuls, they contain an ecosystem of minerals and healthy fats good for both bones and joints. Ready? We'll continue with food number 8. Chia seeds, where sustainability begins with the smallest things. You might have seen these tiny black seeds in vegan puddings or in detox drinks with a gelatinous layer. Yes, those are chia seeds. They look simple, but behind that small shape is a bone-building ability that surprises many. Few would guess that just about 1 ounce, 30 grams of chia seeds, equivalent to a full tablespoon, contains over 350 milligrams of calcium. That means such a small serving surpasses even a glass of cow's milk in calcium content. But beyond the numbers, chia seeds also have a very special mechanism that supports bone regeneration and preservation in a natural way. The first interesting point is, the calcium in chia seeds isn't alone. It comes with a plant protein that helps stabilize and transport calcium to the necessary places in the body. Thanks to this combination, calcium from chia isn't washed away from the intestines like some other forms, but is absorbed relatively effectively, especially if used correctly. Additionally, chia seeds contain a large amount of ALA-form omega-3s, which are plant fats capable of reducing silent inflammation, the kind of inflammation that bone and joint experts believe can quietly gnaw away at bone structure over time. By soothing chronic inflammation, omega-3s from chia seeds indirectly prevent bone resorption and help preserve bone density, especially in people over 60. You might be wondering, are there any studies to confirm this? The answer is yes. A study published in 2022 on a group of people aged 55 and older showed that supplementing with just 1 ounce, 30 grams of chia seeds daily for 12 weeks helped increase calcium absorption in the intestinal mucosa and also reduced bone resorption marker CTX1 by 10%, a factor that usually increases when bones degenerate, a very promising result from a seemingly unknown food. How do you use them for maximum effectiveness? If you haven't used chia seeds before, start very gently. And remember one important thing: never eat chia seeds dry. Because when they enter the body, chia seeds absorb water incredibly well and will swell 10 to 12 times their original volume. If not pre-soaked, they can cause choking or stomach discomfort, especially if you drink little water. The simplest way to use them is to soak about 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, 2.35, 0.5 ounces, or 10 to 15 g, in a glass of plant-based milk like almond milk or soy milk. Leave it overnight in the refrigerator and you'll have a smooth chia pudding the next morning. You can add a few fresh fruits like blueberries or banana slices to enhance the flavor and nutrients. Another option, if you prefer to use them in the afternoon, is to add chia seeds to a smoothie or sprinkle them directly on a bowl of oatmeal. Thanks to their odorless nature, chia seeds hardly affect the taste of food, but add a significant amount of calcium along with digestive fiber. For older adults who need daily calcium supplementation but are hesitant to take pills, this is a very subtle yet effective option. A small but important note: chia seeds, though generally safe, should not be overused. If more than 1.7 ounces, 50 g, or day is consumed, some people may experience bloating or abdominal discomfort due to the sudden increase in fiber. It's best to start with about 0.5, 1 ounce, 15 to 30 g's a day, and divide it into 2 doses throughout the day, allowing your digestive system to adapt gradually. One more thing: because chia seeds contain a lot of soluble fiber, they can reduce the absorption of other minerals if consumed at the same time as meals containing iron or zinc. Therefore, if you are supplementing with iron pills, space out your chia seed consumption by about 1 to 2 hours. Also, remember to drink plenty of water throughout the day, at least 6.7 to 10 ounces, 200 to 300 ml of water after eating foods containing chia, to ensure good absorption and avoid digestive discomfort. If chia seeds offer support from within the gut, then wakame, a familiar seaweed in Japanese cuisine, continues the journey of bone care from an entirely different angle, from the deep blue ocean, bringing with it a remarkable amount of calcium, plus magnesium, boron, and a compound that is exceptionally special for the skeletal system. Let's continue with food number 9, wakame seaweed, the bone medicine from the ocean. Unassuming and not as common as milk or synthetic calcium supplements, wakame is gaining increasing attention from Western nutrition experts. This is thanks to its content of calcium, magnesium, boron, and fucoidine, a rare combination that helps strengthen bone density, reduce chronic bone inflammation, and naturally support mineral metabolism. Just about 1.4 ounces, 40 g, of rehydrated dried wakame, equivalent to about 2 tablespoons of seaweed after soaking, can provide up to 380 milligrams of calcium. This is significantly higher than a traditional glass of milk. But wakame isn't merely a plant-based calcium source. What makes it stand out is the accompanying biological matrix, which helps minerals be retained and optimally absorbed into bone tissue. First, wakame contains calcium in the form of alginate, a highly soluble organic salt, very suitable for older adults whose digestive systems may not be as robust. Unlike many plant-based calciums that are locked away by oxalates or phytates, calcium from wakame seaweed is easier to unlock thanks to the mildly acidic environment in the stomach, and it doesn't put significant pressure on the digestive system. Next, wakame also provides a natural amount of magnesium, essential for activating enzymes that support bone formation. Not stopping there, the boron content in wakame helps regulate hormones and reduces calcium excretion through urine, meaning it helps retain calcium longer in the body, reducing silent losses that few notice. But wakame's most potent weapon is likely fucoidin, a polysaccharide found only in some types of brown algae. It has been shown to activate the activity of bone-forming cells, osteoblasts, and inhibit bone-resorbing cells, osteoclasts. Research indicates that consuming just 0.17 ounces, 5g, of dried seaweed daily for 6 months helped older adults maintain spinal bone density 1.3% better than the group that didn't consume it. An impressive number for a simple food. How can you use wakame simply and effectively? The good news is that wakame is very easy to use. The most common type in the US is usually sold as pre-cut dried pieces in small bags at Asian supermarkets or natural food stores like Whole Foods. To use, you just need to soak about 0.07, 0.1 ounces, 2 to 3 grams of dried wakame in cool water for 5 to 10 minutes. The seaweed will expand 8 to 10 times its original volume, becoming soft and easy to eat. The simplest way is to add soaked wakame to a bowl of miso soup, a traditional Japanese dish that's both easy to digest and comforting. Or if you like salad, you can mix wakame with shredded cucumber, add rice vinegar, a little sesame oil, and toasted sesame seeds, and you immediately have a refreshing, light salad that's excellent for bones. For older adults who need gentle bone support, wakame is the perfect appetizer every day. Delicious, low in calories, and easy to prepare in less than 5 minutes. Although wakame is very rich in calcium and minerals, it also has an ingredient to be aware of: iodine. This is necessary for thyroid function, but if absorbed excessively, especially in people taking thyroid medication or with hyperthyroid issues, it can cause endocrine disorders. Normally, if you eat wakame 2 to 3 times a week, using only 0.07, 0.1 ounces, 2 to 3g dry per serving, about 200 milligrams of calcium, the iodine content is still within safe limits. However, if you have thyroid disease, you should consult your doctor before regular use. Additionally, some seaweed products may contain fairly high sodium due to processing. Therefore, choose unsalted wakame or soak it thoroughly and rinse with water before eating. Are you ready for the last food? Because the next item doesn't come from the ocean, nor from seeds or leaves, but it's a soybean product, pressed into a small, solid block, yet containing the highest amount of calcium on today's entire list. Let's explore food number 10, firm tofu with calcium sulfate, the silent but incredibly powerful hero in the journey of preserving your bones after age 60. No fuss, not from distant oceans or mountains. Today's most calcium-rich food comes right from the familiar kitchens of many Asian American families. Firm tofu with calcium sulfate, also known as firm tofu. It may sound ordinary, but with just 1/2 cup of firm tofu, you're getting about 400 to 450 milligrams of calcium, far exceeding a standard glass of cow's milk. Even more importantly, it's a highly bioavailable plant-based protein rich in calcium. But what makes tofu special isn't just the numbers. It's the way calcium in tofu binds with soy protein to create a stable absorption matrix. Calcium sulfate, TaSO4, is added during the soybean coagulation process, forming a firm curd that gives firm tofu a much sturdier texture than soft, silken tofu. And it's precisely this coagulation process that packages the calcium into an easy-to-digest, easy-to-use structure, particularly suitable for older adults. Did you know? Each piece of firm tofu also contains a group of bioactive compounds currently of great interest in osteoporosis research: soy isoflavones, especially genistein and didzane. These two substances act as mild plant estrogens, helping to increase the activity of bone-forming cells, osteoblasts, reduce the activity of bone-resorbing cells, osteoclasts, decrease the secretion of PTH, parathyroid hormone, a hormone that causes calcium loss from bones if elevated in old age. Not only that, calcium from tofu is absorbed quite effectively, about 30 to 35% higher than many foods with high oxalates or phytates like spinach or raw almonds. And if you eat tofu with a source of healthy fats like olive oil, avocado, or salmon, vitamin K absorption will increase, indirectly supporting strong bones. A meta-analysis showed that in older Asian women, 7 ounces, 200 Gs, of firm tofu containing calcium sulfate daily could reduce the rate of bone loss in the hip region by up to 2% per year, a particularly significant number when compared to those who didn't consume it or only consumed animal protein. In the same study, the group that regularly consumed tofu had a lower risk of femoral neck fractures and experienced fewer digestive problems compared to the group using regular calcium supplements. This indicates that calcium-rich foods, if used correctly, can be even more effective and sustainable than single-pill supplements. How can you use tofu conveniently and for best absorption? If you're new to eating tofu, the good news is that this food can be prepared flexibly in all sorts of ways, from savory to sweet, from main dishes to side dishes. A few easy ways to use it. Sauté tofu with vegetables like broccoli, carrots, green beans, and olive oil, for a light lunch that's still packed with protein, calcium, and fiber. Steam tofu with ginger, green onions, and low-sodium soy sauce, served with brown rice for a light, easy-to-digest dinner. Make baked or air-fried tofu, served with sesame sauce, tahini, giving you the feeling of eating a restaurant-quality main dish at home. A small but important note: always read product labels to make sure the tofu you choose lists calcium sulfate, CaSO4, as an ingredient, because some types of tofu use magnesium chloride, nigari, and won't have as much calcium as you expect. Important safety notes for older adults. If you are taking thyroid medication, levothyroxine, eat tofu at least 4 hours after taking your medication, as isoflavones can affect absorption. For those with chronic kidney disease or monitoring sodium, choose low-sodium tofu, not packaged in salt water. Tofu can cause allergies in some people. If you haven't tried it before, start with a small amount and observe your body's reaction. And if you're following a high animal protein diet, tofu can be a healthy way to reduce the burden on your kidneys, while also providing essential fiber and micronutrients. Milk isn't the only way to supplement calcium, and the 10 foods we've just explored are the clearest proof. From almonds, canned salmon with bones, to firm tofu with calcium sulfate, each item provides calcium amounts equal to or exceeding 1 glass of milk, and they're easy to eat and incorporate into daily meals. But more importantly, they don't just stop at calcium. They also support increased absorption, reduced bone loss, microscopic anti-inflammatory effects, and balanced gut microbiota, crucial factors in the journey of maintaining healthy bones after age 60. If each day you can choose 2 to 3 small items from this list, distributed throughout your meals, that's not just a simple meal. It's a proactive, gentle, yet powerful way to keep your feet steady, live healthily, and live long. Perhaps you once thought, I don't lack calcium, I drink milk regularly. But sometimes, what bones need isn't in a glass of milk, but in a spoonful of toasted sesame seeds, a bowl of soft white beans, or a few slices of tofu with green vegetables. Because bones don't just need to be nourished, they also need to be activated, protected, and maintained every day. If you've tried one of these foods, overnight soaked chia seeds, bony salmon salad, or just a simple meal of boiled vegetables with sesame seeds, please share your experience. Or if this is the first time you've learned that there's a whole world richer in calcium than milk, waiting, then congratulations. You've just opened a new door to keep your bones strong, your steps steady, and your old age full of proactive living.